I won't let anything harm you. Ever again.
It's nice to have a friend.
M3GAN is a 2023 sci-fi horror movie, directed by Gerard Johnstone with a screenplay by Akela Cooper. It was produced by Jason Blum and James Wan under their Blumhouse Productions and Atomic Monster Productions banner. It stars Allison Williams, Violet McGraw, Arnie Donald, and Jenna Davis. So the story's about this woman who invents an AI artificial intelligence lifelike doll named M3GAN. And her recently orphaned niece comes to live with her after her parents die in a horrible accident. So she introduces M3GAN to her niece to help her cope with the loss of her parents and just to be a friend for her. But she soon realizes that M3GAN will stop at nothing to protect her niece.
This is M3GAN.
Hi, M3GAN. I'm Katie.
So I just got back from the theaters checking this out at an early screener. And it was very fun. Like, off the top, this is not a movie to take serious at all. It definitely leans into the campy quality. It knows what it is. It's played for laughs more than anything, but it does have plenty of intense moments where it's played for scares as well. And I would say this is just as much of a sci-fi movie as it is horror, because there's a lot of things about it that reminded me of other AI horror sci-fi movies that we've seen in the past. So I did have a good time with this. I did have fun with it, but I can't help but feel like I wanted more. It just did not push the envelope enough to really separate it from other things I've seen before. But that being said, I'm not at all trying to say this isn't a movie worth seeing or entertaining. It very much is entertaining. This is a fun movie, but I can't help but wonder if it had kept with its R rating, if that would have been enough to really separate it, to really give it that extra that it needed. Because there was plenty of times where I felt like it was meant to have an over-the-top kill. It was meant to have some gore that would really kind of give it that ugh, and it just didn't have that. So every time it just felt like it was missing something. However, the fact that I know that originally this was supposed to be rated R and they went and reshot a bunch of it to make it PG-13 after it blew up on TikTok, but because I know about that, it leaves me wondering if how much of it is me just simply knowing that and being like, oh man, if it had that, it would have been better. It's hard for me to say because I know that. I can't see this movie in any other way, but I did enjoy it. It just, like I said, it just feels like it's missing something because it just never quite felt intense enough to really grab you. Just like it leans into its campy quality and has a lot of fun with that, there's some stuff that had me just laughing out loud. Some very, very funny things in this that really caught me off guard and caught me by surprise that I really did appreciate. It very much has that James Wan weird, twisted kind of sense of humor to it. I'm not saying how much he had to do with the writing and whatnot in this, but there was definitely some malignant elements about it that felt very much like I could see the through lines between Malignant and that someone that created that had, some influence, at least on some level, with this movie. Like, there's these scenes you've seen in the trailer of her dancing, of M3GAN dancing. And that is what, blew this movie up, what got it all over TikTok in the first place. But there's a few little wrinkles and a few other things she does that caught me off guard, and so I'm not going to spoil them for you guys. But they were very funny and very surprising. One in particular, when she's sitting there with the little girl, and the little girl is having this, like, touching, heartwarming moment, and M3GAN does this thing that completely caught me off guard, and I was just absolutely roaring with laughter in the theater. But the way that it's all done has this weird, quirky charm to it. And so I could see some of those elements just not being for everyone, because Malignant, just not everybody loved that. I did. I really loved that movie. But not everybody is real big on this weird kind of strangeness that James Wan puts to some of his properties. But at the same time, I can really see this being a big hit with young teenagers. I heard a few buzzing around me that had a great time with it and were calling this the female Chucky, which I didn't really see that, other than the fact that, yes, this is a doll, but it doesn't feel like a little doll. This is a robot, and it feels very much like a robot. she's way bigger than a doll, and she does a lot of robotic type of things, including the way she talks. So she really doesn't feel like a Chucky. She doesn't have a lot of one-liners, other than, you know, that it's this robotic animatronic type of thing that's killing people. It doesn't really feel like Child's Play to me at all. But once again, going back to it, just not pushing it far enough. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if that's because of the gore being taken out and this movie being neutered, but the kills, they just were not spectacular at all. And I felt like they needed to do something, because even if you don't show gore and you don't show blood, there still needs to be some creativeness somehow. And yet you don't see almost any kills in this. Like, the ones you do see are not brutal at all. They quickly cut away. And then even the ones you do see, they're just not really brutal kills. So for me, I've seen so much horror that it just, you know, wasn't enough for me. But I could see if I was a 12, 13-year-old kid, you know, loving this. Like, anyone who is really young into horror and enjoying that whole TikTok element about this movie, I could see them having fun with it, because they're not really looking for something that's not there, because they're fairly new to this whole experience of horror in the first place. So I love the fact that this could be a gateway into leading them down this road for other horror. But I can't help but feel that a lot of the more adult horror fans like myself that have seen gore and have seen, you know, horror comedy and seen it done in different ways, I can't help but feel that you guys might end up feeling similar to the way I do. Because I wanted to love this much more than I did. Because I did have fun. I was entertained. This is a fun little movie. But it could have been special. Like, it really could have been. It was so close. And I feel like if they had just pushed the envelope a little more, if it had maybe kept its R rating, I'm not even sure, because I don't know exactly what was cut out, but I just know that it felt like it just didn't push it far enough. Because I don't even know if they push it as far as Happy Death Day, because Happy Death Day doesn't really have gore. It's PG-13, but there were still things about it where you're like, whoa, and you were surprised by some stuff that they did do. And this didn't even feel like it really pushed the envelope like that. I just felt like this movie really could have pushed that freaky element, like the movie Freaky from a couple years ago. This has a kind of similar feel to that, and the fact that it did go hardcore with the gore made it just that much more fun. It really kind of gave it this interesting stamp to it, because in a lot of ways it felt like this fast food kind of horror, but then it goes and has this grisly, brutal gore that, you know, it made you sit up in your seat. You're just like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that. This didn't really have anything like that. This never did anything that really caught me off guard, other than some of the humor that was done was pretty good. But I don't know, just in general, this movie, I think, is one that by the end of the year, most of us will kind of forgot about. Unless you're a teenager, and I could see you falling in love with this. Especially, I could see teenage girls loving this movie. But I could be very much wrong as well. Who knows? A lot of people, the masses, will probably end up loving this movie. People that are into the whole, you know, fast food horror, the Walmart horror, like the Conjuring universe. Those people that are fine with PG-13 horror and don't need a bunch of gore. And I don't necessarily need a bunch of gore either, but I need a movie to push the envelope somehow, to separate it from other movies somehow, to just be more than a generic, fun little movie, you know. And it doesn't mean I need that as far as to be entertained, because this is very entertaining. But for a movie I'm gonna remember at the end of the year, you know, in a year from now, when I'm making my list of the best movies of the year, or movies I'm gonna remember down the road, I need it to have something that separates it and puts it into my memory. I'm old, you know, I don't remember that great, so I need the movie to do something that makes me remember it. And this didn't have anything that really grabbed a hold of me and made me go, you know, wow, I can't believe they did that, or I'm definitely gonna remember this movie. Like, I'm not sure if looking back on this movie, even in a few weeks, I'm not sure there is any scene or any moment in particular that's going to really make me remember, you know, like get a flash of that one moment, that one signature element. I don't really think it has any of that. But I still think it was entertaining enough and enough fun that it's worth your time to check out. I just don't know if I would rush out and see it in theaters. It's worth your time though. I'm kind of on the fence with that. If you're someone that feels like going out to a theater, you know, you're wanting something to watch, you're wanting to see a horror movie, and you don't need it to be a game changer, but just a good popcorn, fun time, then definitely go check this out. But if you're someone that needs a little bit more, then I would say, you know what, wait for it to stream, or at the very least, wait till where it's streaming for a rental, you know, spend a few bucks and rent it at home. Just don't go spend 50 bucks to go to the theater, take, you know, other people and do this whole big thing out of it. I just don't think this is worthy of that. That's all. But that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for checking this out. I want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate Army, to the people over on Patreon, because you guys, your support seriously means so much to me. And if you would like to find out how you can help support this channel and become a member on Patreon, there's a link down in the description. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun! If you enjoyed this video, click right here to see a review. Maybe Scare Package 2 I'll throw there. Either way, it's going to be a review of a movie I've done recently. But I'll see you guys next time!